Turning attention now to more news coming in on the broadcast. Rubbishing NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte's claim that after US President Donald Trump imposed a penalty on India for buying Russian oil, Prime Minister Modi asked Russian President Vladimir Putin to explain his strategy. The MEA has categorically said that all this is completely baseless. In a statement, the MEA has said that it expects the leadership of NATO to be more responsible while making such statements, and emphasizes that speculative remarks about conversations that never occurred are extremely unacceptable. Now, this is extremely shocking, the kind of statements that NATO had put out, and no less than the NATO Secretary-General, all of which have been rubbished by the External Affairs Ministry, saying no such meeting and no such phone call actually took place. Listen in to what the MEA spokesperson said.
This statement, let me clarify, is factually incorrect and entirely baseless. At no point has Prime Minister Modi spoken with President Putin in the manner suggested. No such conversation has taken place. We expect the leadership of an important and esteemed institution like NATO to exercise greater responsibility and accuracy in public statements. Let me also tell you, and would like to attract your attention to some of the comments that have been made by several leaders, including President Trump, on that EU and NATO and G7 countries should also look at halting energy imports from Russia. I mean, there cannot be any double standard in the matter.
Let's get in my colleague Disha Bagchi for more on this. She's been tracking this story closely for us. Now, Disha, this kind of falsehoods that are coming out from no less than the NATO Secretary-General really undermines the body itself, and also just points out that how the West at this point of time is just trying to cook up stories when it comes to New Delhi, India. And even as India has been categorically saying that it takes all decisions, all measures only on the basis of its national interest and securing energy interests.
Absolutely. The aim of the NATO chief, Mark Rutte, making these statements was entirely stirring the pot, really, when it comes to the relationship between New Delhi, the US and Russia in the context of importing Russian oils, and saying that Prime Minister Modi or India has demanded some sort of justification or clarification on Russia's Ukraine strategy, and making these kind of statements in Western media really and kind of spreading these speculations really undermines, as you mentioned, NATO's credibility and legitimacy. Because in a sense, we've seen Mark Rutte make certain statements like this when it comes to in bilaterals or in press conferences with US President Donald Trump. But now making these statements in Western media saying that New Delhi is again asking for justifications, given the fact that now they're facing these 50% tariffs from the US for their imports of Russian oil, is quite irresponsible, as India has said. And they're slamming and rubbishing these statements as completely factual and baseless. And they are, in fact, absolutely baseless, because we have made it very clear that no such call between Prime Minister Modi and Russian President. This was on the 17th of September, when the Russian president, in fact, wished Prime Minister Modi a happy birthday and also discussed certain bilateral issues. But nowhere was it mentioned that oil was discussed, or any such clarification or justification was asked from New Delhi to Moscow. But so making such statements, especially on Western media, is quite irresponsible by the NATO chief.
Indeed, responsible, undermining the position of NATO Secretary-General. I'm going to leave it there. Disha Bagchi, thanks much for joining me on the broadcast.